everybody, how's it going? It's Mike with this old hot rod in the garage. It's been a few days since I've been in the garage. It was, like I said, today's Sunday. I had a long work week this week, and I ended up working most of the day on Saturday as well. Just really didn't have a lot of time to spend in the shop. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to sandblast a few more things and then get a bunch of parts hung up on my rack and get those pieces in epoxy and then paint. And then just kind of keep the ball rolling. This tool works awesome. This is the original 80 grit drum that I purchased when I got the machine. Hold on. So this is 120 grit. I have not used this one yet, and this is the 80 grit. So I've had this tool for a few months and I use it a lot. And I use this 80 grit drum most of the time when I'm working with the SCT. So people have asked, how long do the drums last? That's the main question I get. That's how much it's worn down. So I'd say there's probably an inch of material and there's still 3/4 of an inch left. You get a lot of time out of these drums depending on what you're sanding. I mean, obviously you can see where it's worn down. That's from doing the edges of the springs, you know, like this. So I'm trying to be conscious of not getting that groove any worse than what it is now, but all in all, I am so happy with this tool, and I'm really happy that I bought it. I think it was a great purchase. There's people that I've seen on Instagram and Facebook that have this tool that I don't think are quite happy with it. It actually says some negative things about it, which to me is a shame, because I don't know if there's any other tool on the market that really compares to this tool. So to speak negatively about this tool, I feel is foolish, because what other tool are you going to use that will do what this tool does without having a huge array of different stuff, you know? Should this be sandblasted? Yeah, it probably still should be, because there's some pits in these springs that are pretty deep that this tool just can't get into. And I honestly don't know what tool could get into them. But for a situation like mine, cleaning up this car to just get it to a point where it's good enough to paint and it's going to be a driver car, this tool is amazing. There's no other tool in the market like it. So if you haven't yet, and you want to do more research, Eastwood, the SCT, the Contour SCT. This is a great tool. So that's my 2 cents on the Eastwood Contour SCT. Definitely, without question, one of the most used tools in this garage. That's my 2 cents. This old hot rod. Alright guys, that's the main lead. I'll just sandblast the shackles. I'm sorry, no. I'll just sandblast the perches. I'll put those to the side. Here's my drag link. I have the other half pulled apart already, so I might as well pull the rest of it apart. I need to put a sleeve on this, and I had a piece of metal tubing that I was going to put on this. I got to find it. I want a sleeve over that. So I ground this to both of them to a point, and then welded it, built up the weld, and then cleaned it up real quick. So, I mean, truthfully, I think it would probably be fine, but for safety reasons, I want to put a sleeve on that and drill some holes and rosette weld it, and then do a weld all the way around both ends of the coupler or sleeve. My friend Pete said that he stopped using these types of tie rod ends because he thinks, well, he says, and he's probably right, I won't know until I learn it for myself, but he says that he thinks these springs in here have a tendency to kind of like maybe flutter or collapse a little bit if you get some death wobble. And this is a place where there's a little bit of a give because of the spring. I haven't dealt with that at this point, and the car's all set up to run this tie rod, so I'm gonna run the tie rod as well as the drag link. So I'm crossing my fingers, hoping that I don't have any issues with those tie rod ends. If I do, I'll just get newer modern style tie rod ends, or you know, male or female, whatever I gotta run. If I can just keep this drag link, I'll just get a female style where they go in. If I do have issues, then I'll change them out. So that's just what you do. You just figure it out as you go. Paddles. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these sandblasted just the way they sit. And then when it's time to modify them, I'll just have to modify them and cut them and then weld them, and then they'll get cleaned up and painted after that. But for now, I'm going to keep them just the way they are. So I'm going to bring these down to the sandblast cabinet and the perches. Let's do that. Alright, still picking away. I got my perches sandblasted. I got the remainder of my leaf spring sandblasted. So all the bits and pieces of the spring are done. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to start working on my floor pans. So this is the driver's side here. This is the passenger side. So in the future, the toe board is going to be mounted off of this, and eventually I'll weld those to it, but I won't weld them after until I'm ready to finish install everything. But I do want to get these sanded down. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some tape over this portion here where it's going to be welded in the future. But for now, I want to get these cleaned up and put in sealer because they're really starting to rust. Like I said, I'm trying to keep the ball rolling and get things as far along as I can. And this is just one of the next things on my list. Kind of dragging butt today. So I'm trying to get some things accomplished, even though I'm real tired. But it's just in the effort to keep things moving. So I leave all the wire on the rack, and I just take the part off and I just leave the wire on it. If I need to move something, I just move it. When I'm done with the wire, I just slide it to the sides. That's a really great tool to have. So for 50 bucks, it was well worth the investment. I couldn't have built it for 50 bucks if I went to the steel supply yard and bought the steel, even the caster wheels. I probably would have had 30 bucks in caster wheels, and the whole thing was 50 bucks. So if you need anything like that, you ever been on the fence about buying one, buy one. When you're done with it, sell it. Someone will buy it for you for the same amount of money you probably paid for it. If you get a good deal or get one for free, you can probably make a couple of bucks. Again, just my 2 cents. Just trying to think smarter. I think I might do a little bit of welding on this. I want to throw a few more welds on this. Weld it up underneath. I used a hammer and dolly, shaped this lip up, this flange. So that's ready to get welded. back in the garage. I'm gonna get this camera set on the tripod. And what we're gonna do today is, or tonight, just to get something accomplished, is I'm gonna run this plastic back down, and we're gonna get all that stuff in epoxy. Get things wrapped up. We get things sprayed in sealer. Gonna get the coupe covered back up. Actually, take these pieces out. Get these pieces in seal. And then don't you hate it how things get so dirty so fast? No matter how hard you try to keep your shop clean, things always just get dirty. Ba-da-ba! Alright, I'm gonna get just shut down so I can save the battery, and I'll catch you guys up to speed when I get ready to spray. Alright, so I'm just cleaning things up. I've been painting everything in the back of the shop, so I'm going to try to take the car and move it to the front and move the parts back here. Alright. Got 6 small pieces I have to spray. I really don't have any room on my stand. Get my paint out, get it mixed up, strained, and we're good to go.
I've been wandering down the same road back into town, talking on the phone with you. Who knows what we should do? 'Cause
Alright guys, well, you know kind of the deal at this point. So this is a 2-part epoxy. This is a Nason product. It's quite expensive, unfortunately. There are a lot of other products out there that do a really good job. The last product that I used, the black epoxy, was what's it? Martin Sanur. That is a brand that Napa carries. It is about 1/3 the cost of a Nason full epoxy. However, you know, I would imagine they both work similar or the same. I don't know if one's better than the other. I don't know if you're paying for the name. I really don't know. I'm not a professional. However, like I said, I've used multiple brands and they all basically seem to do the same thing. That being said, I'm going to throw my respirator on. I'm going to mix this. I think it was 4-to-1, I believe. I have it here. Could be 8-to-1. But I don't have my glasses on. 4-to-1. Alright, so 4-to-1. I have a filter on the line coming out of the tank of my compressor. And that's basically all you need. So I'm ready to go. Minus a regulator on my gun. I just haven't used one for a while and I've been okay without one. I don't recommend not using one though. If you're going to do painting, get a regulator for your gun. I just do dumb things sometimes. You can see I'm at 5 here. This is my 4-to-1 chart. Well, you can't see it now, but I was at 5. Now you go to the second line over and you pour that in till it gets to 5. Right there. It's good. There's my regulator. Broken. This is just a little touch-up gun. Nothing expensive, but it works good. So I'll mix this up till it's one uniform color and strain it into the gun. Oh my God. must not have cleaned that good enough. I'm going to pull that in there, and I'll use that for my clean out, my first clean out. Now typically you have to wait about 30 minutes for this to kind of mix together and activate itself with the activator. So I get that mixed up, pull it in the gun. Throw on a sweatshirt. It gets real sticky. Gets all in your hair on your arms and stuff. So might as well cover yourself up. If I was doing a whole car, I'd have a Tyvek suit on.
I've been wandering down the same road back into town, talking on the phone with you. Who knows what we should do? 'Cause I'm tortured. 'Cause when we try to do things right, it always ends up with a fight. It's really messing with my head. Too bad, my friend, she said. But I'm tortured. Drop it for me. Won't be done. I think I like that instead. Well, I don't mean anything wrong. Let's have a little conversation alone. Leaving all the stuff behind, but I don't think we should try. Yes, I'm tortured. Drop dead for me. Won't be just drop dead. Drop dead for me. I think I like that instead. I've been wandering down the same road back into town, talking on the phone with you. Who knows what we should do? 'Cause when we try to do things right, it always ends up with a fight. It's really messing with my head. Too bad, my friend, she said. Drop dead for me. Well, I don't mean anything wrong. Drop dead for me. Let's have a little conversation alone. Drop dead for me. Leaving all that stuff behind. Drop dead for me. But I don't think we should try. Drop dead for me. I'm tortured. Drop dead for me. I'm tortured. I'm tortured.
Alright, I gotta let that dry. The bottom pieces I have to flip over. Same as the smaller pieces, flip those over when they're dry. And then I'll spray those so everything will be 100% covered in epoxy. And then I'll take the sheet metal, move that to the side, and then paint everything else white. And then the sheet metal will be turquoise. I'll do all the floors in the car, everything turquoise. I think it'll just make sense. That's it. Now it's just a waiting game to let that stuff set up to a point where it's dry so I can flip those pieces over and get those sprayed. So I'll shut the camera off and I will resume when that time comes. Bye. Alright, so I got all those pieces coated in epoxy. And now what I'm doing is I took these floor pans out of the coupe. I'm going to get these wiped down. I'm going to get this flange right here covered in tape because I don't want to get epoxy on it because I'm going to be welding to it. These pieces look different because they were sandblasted, not hit with the Contour SCT. Alright, so I'm ready to get these two panels sprayed now. Hello, YouTube. What's going on, everybody? It's still crazy I have my own YouTube channel. It's just weird to me. I always wanted to do a YouTube. And here I am doing YouTube. So, what I'm working on is, you guys saw, everything is in epoxy. What I did this afternoon when I got home was, you can see inside the car. Can you see the floor pan? See the floor pan in there. What I ended up doing was I welded the side panels that I ended up having to make separate. I got those welded in, welded them in with the inch spaces. The drive shaft tunnel is welded in with inch spaces. I ended up making flanges for that. I described that earlier. That now is ready to be epoxy sealed, and then I'm going to seam seal it once it's dry. This panel here, which is the transmission tunnel, is an epoxy. I forgot to weld it, finish weld it, but I'm just going to seam seal that. It is, I believe it should hold up good enough. I'm hoping. I may end up doing a couple more welds. But everything else is just an epoxy. So what I'm going to do is get that seat pan in epoxy right now. My package tray is up on the package tray frame. I'm going to get that coated in epoxy. What I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to accomplish is I'm trying to get everything in epoxy. What that's going to allow me to do is separate the white from the turquoise, and then once I have everything that's going to be in white, I can get everything painted in white and just be done with it as far as this round of parts. And the same goes for the turquoise. I want to try to get all of the sheet metal painted with the turquoise and then just be done with it. I am going to just attach it for the time being with self-tappers, just in a few holes on each panel for now, just to keep it in place, just to get it off the floor, to get it, just, you know what, I might not even do any self-tappers. I might just set it in place and get it out of my way, I guess basically is what I'm trying to say. This stuff just takes up so much space. So what I want to do is I want to get everything painted, everything set in place where it's going to go, and then just get it off the floor of the garage, or get it off the cabinets of the countertop in the back of the garage. Just so it'll free up some space for me to just keep continuing the cleaning and painting process. So after this batch of parts is done, which again I have the seat pan, the package tray, and the only other thing that I didn't do, which I'm going to remake, is the back of the seat. I ended up bead rolling it, and I bead rolled it by myself, but it was just too big of a panel to bead roll by myself, and it kind of got a little wobbly. So I'm just going to cut and bend up a quick flat piece of metal, bend up the edges on the brake, and just be done with it. I think that'll be the last piece to get into epoxy as far as the sheet metal goes. Everything else is pretty much done. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. The gas tank, I may just paint the gas tank the turquoise, so it kind of is hidden in there. It'll kind of match the gas neck filler and all that stuff. Once all the floor pans are in, like I said, then at that point I can get to work on the front brakes and then the rear axle. Those are really the major pieces that have to get done. I can't paint the rear axle until I fabricate the mounts for the new trailing arms, but that'll probably hopefully be happening within the next week or so. So I'll be excited to get that done so I can get the rear axle back up into the car, get everything fabricated. As soon as it's fabricated, I'll probably already have it all cleaned and ready to go. Then I'll just be masking off the brake parts or whatever I got to do, and then getting that painted up. And then, you know, tucking it back up into the car. And then again, just waiting on that front axle from Andy Kohler. So, but that being said, next will be, after that, will be the dash. I think I'm going to just do some engine turned aluminum panels for my gauges. I have a glove box. I may end up making a new glove box, just the front of it. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see what happens. I just haven't made up my mind yet. I'm not going to limit myself to one thing or another. I'm just going to kind of see what ends up happening. So let's do that. So for what I forgot what I needed to do is I wanted to put some more weld on the underside of the rear trunk pan. This is where it goes over the rear axle, where the kick-up is. So it's a few areas where I want to add a little bit more weld in front of the battery box and down the center where the two panels meet. So I want to get that welded up and then get it cleaned up real quick with the SCT. And then get this in epoxy with the seat pan.
She's my what? She's my what?
Alright, so that's all I'm going to do. I'm trying to keep my welds to a minimum on that big flat panel because I don't want to get any distortion because of the heat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit this real quick with a flap disc on this middle portion here because the welds are on top. And then what I need to do is over here on the battery box, this piece of sheet metal is overhanging by about maybe 1/4 of an inch on this end and almost flush with it on this end. So I want to clean that up just a little bit, cut that back. Yeah, I'm just going to cut it back instead of folding it over. And then what I'm going to do is I need to make some marks. I need to get 2 holes drilled for where my battery hold down mounts. So I'll get those marked. And then, like I said, I'm going to clean this up with the SCT. So let me get the my flap disc and get these knocked down real quick.
What is she? She's my dominantly do what? She's my what? She's
So that was real quick. I don't want to compromise the metal by sanding the actual metal, the sheet metal. I just wanted to really just knock off the high spots on the welds.
She's my dominantly do what? She's my what? She's my dominantly do. She's my dominantly do. She's my dominantly do. She's my dominantly do. She's my yeah.
And people say this tool doesn't work. They're crazy. Crazy. Cray cray. Cray cray, as the kids say. Whoa. Alright, I need to rethink this. This tool's just pulling this thing off my little sawhorse things here. I don't want to do this.
She's my dominantly do. She's my dominantly do. She's my dominantly do. That's what she is.
Well, I think that's about as good as it's going to get. I'm going to grab some acetone or a cleaner and clean off the Sharpie. Otherwise, it bleeds right through the epoxy. I got some medium reducer. I can use that as well. So that's what I'll use. Trying to find the dirtiest friggin' rag I could find, I guess. Like I said, you want to try to remove all the Sharpie marks, otherwise it comes right through, immediately, comes right through the epoxy. And this reducer takes it right off instantly. But you'll see like a pinkish red, with a black Sharpie, you'll see a pinkish red bleed coming through the epoxy. And it will also bleed through the paint sometimes. So you want to make sure you get any of your measurements and your writing and your lines. Make sure you get everything off the panel before you get ready to put it in sealer. Alright, so I forgot I had the package tray in the car. So we're going to get this cleaned up with the SCT real quick. And then get this hung up somewhere. And get these 3 last big panels, well, minus the seat back. I'll get these 3 panels in epoxy tonight. That's probably going to be it for me tonight. So it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the shop this week. Picking away. Picking away. Allie likes the floor white, so I may just leave it white. She says she likes it. It'll certainly be different. And it'll get dirty fast. So we'll see. Alright, I'm going to get this cleaned up. Alright. That's good. Let's get this hung up now. If I can find the room. Boom. Alright, let me wipe that down real quick and then I'll be ready to go. And once everything's in epoxy and dry, at that point I'll seam seal everything. So I don't want to seam seal it first and not coat the bare metal with epoxy. I want to make sure I get the epoxy on the bare metal. I don't know if I need to worry about that or not. Again, I'm not a professional, but that's just the way my brain thinks. I figured if the rest of it's covered in epoxy, I should probably continue that way. I'm gonna go mix up some paint and get these things sprayed. It's about 9 o'clock. After I get these sprayed, that's it for me for the night. And I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. That's it. Couldn't probably see, but I got the spring leaves all sprayed again. Those panels I think are all good. Alright guys, I'm going to clean up my gun and call it a night. We'll see you on the next one.